2001, a horror slasher called Valentine was released in theaters. And despite its romantic title, Valentine was far from loved. Valentine has terrible reviews. It has an 18% critic score on Metacritic. It has a 12% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. A critic from the New York Times even said the film, quote, feels like both a joke and a turkey. To be totally honest, I don't fully understand what a turkey means in the context of a movie, but I can't imagine that's a good thing. Valentine wasn't one of those movies that got bad reviews, but still managed to make a lot of money in theaters. Valentine also did terribly in the box office. By any metric, financial, critical, spiritual, Valentine was considered a major failure. But despite all that overwhelming evidence stacked against it, I love Valentine. My brain knows I shouldn't, but the heart still wants what it wants. Of all the 2000 era slashers, I find myself rewatching Valentine more than any other. Valentine is pure horror fun, and much like John Cusack in Say Anything, I think it deserves a second chance. Valentine tells the story of four friends who, after receiving threatening Valentine cards, realize they are being stalked by someone they wronged at a middle school dance and now must unmask the Cupid killer before Valentine's Day hits. First and foremost, that's a great slasher premise. A villain who was wronged by a group and has returned to get revenge one by one is as classic as you can get. We've seen this premise in movies like Prom Night, Terror Train, My Bloody Valentine, and Slaughter High. The specific Valentine's Day twist to the classic revenge tale is especially amusing and leads to a lot of fun romantic imagery, including an awesome Cupid mask. The villain's mask can sink or swim any slasher. If nothing else, horror fans need to see a cool mask. And Valentine nailed this. When it comes to slasher masks, simple is scarier. The cold, frozen, expressionless face of the cherub is super eerie. I totally love it. I put the cherub mask number 13 in my rankings of the top 50 horror masks of all time. If you disagree with that choice, well, then feel free to send me an email explaining why, and in return, I'll reply back with a scanned photo of my hairy ass. One of the major reasons Valentine had a bad reception is the fact that the killer's identity got spoiled by the media before the movie came out. That is a major bummer, as this entire movie was built on that mystery. Much like Scream before it, a lot of the fun in this type of movie is questioning which character is behind the killings, and unfortunately most audience members went in with the answer in their back pocket. As someone who didn't know the identity, the whodunit aspect really worked for me. There are a number of fairly believable suspects and red herrings. Sure, I ultimately was able to guess the killer, but I still enjoyed the ride and second-guessing my guess along the way. Valentine also has a great tone and pacing. It's very light, it moves along quickly, and most importantly, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows it's a cheesy slasher and never tries to get too heavy-handed. Valentine starts with a great opening kill, the body count racks up, and it all ends with a fun little rampage. I will admit, yes, the execution of the kills in Valentine aren't especially bloody, which is a cardinal sin of slashers. I have a whole other video talking about the specifics of why this happened, but in short, after US Senate hearings condemned sex and violence in teen films, the MPAA forced Valentine and other horror movies of this era to cut down their death scenes. Even though the kills aren't all too bloody, they are at least still creative. A Cupid killer using a bow and arrow is very charming. The previously mentioned opening kill scene was surprisingly suspenseful and had a great exclamation point. And the hot tub scene was the best scene in the movie. There's a lot of great tension built up, Denise Richards plays her role very well, and the final method of execution is not what I thought it would be. Overall, Valentine is not without its flaws. It is a rehash of a familiar story, there isn't too much character development, and Kate is far from having a spot on the final girl Mount Rushmore. But still, I liked Valentine way more than I thought I would. It is absolutely better than its 12% score. Valentine is a fun, melodramatic slasher with a cool killer, a great premise, an engaging mystery, and a memorable ending. And really, what else do you want for this type of movie? If you like modern slashers like I Know What You Did Last Summer, or Urban Legend, then check out the ever underrated Valentine. Those are my thoughts on the 2001 horror movie Valentine. Did you similarly like it? Did you hate it? Do you know what that one reviewer meant when he called it a turkey? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this review, please subscribe to my channel, Flicks with Nick. I post new horror rants, reviews, commentaries, and deep dives on Fridays. As well on Mondays, I post quick 2-minute recommendations for horror movies available to watch on Shudder, Netflix, and Amazon Prime. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.